Yeah, thank you very much, Javier. It's a pleasure to be able to moderate this panel, and thank you to all the speakers to stay here for the discussion. And I have to say that I think it was very interesting, the presentations and the exchange of views with the situation, and I saw a lot of commonalities in the two regions. So, for instance, the importance for June 5G, for 6G of digital twins, contribution to sustainable development goals. Both regions are looking at societal challenges, the Green Deal, and the different new technologies, a lot of commonalities, the use of advanced use cases, and important, a lot of mentions about how these technologies could pave the way for vertical services, and important for the work today, the mention to cooperate towards global standards, which I see here as important to maybe change in relation to the situation at the beginning of the 5G evolution, and in particular using 3GPP as common platform. And this morning, or this beginning of the afternoon, the Director Sul mentioned the willingness of Korea to cooperate, and the same I heard from our Deputy Director, David Rinros. So let me ask concrete questions to representative of both regions. Could you find out, in view of this willingness to cooperate between the two regions towards global standards, concrete actions, concrete suggestions for concrete collaboration activities between you and the Republic of Korea, which could bring us closer to our vision for our future society? Maybe we start with Europe. Bernard, could you please?
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute. Well, concrete stuff, I suppose we will have to study it in more details. In the 5G PPP era, that means at the time when we had the implementation of research for 5G preparation, we had already quite a good and interesting cooperation with Korea through implementation of joint projects. I mean, maybe this is a little bit limited, and what we need to have in the first place, taking into account that the vision of 6G is not yet there, is a kind of exchange of information to set the vision right in such a way that eventually we can move towards the global ecosystems that will make this story successful from an economic and societal perspective. So from our side, we would very much welcome frequent exchanges. We have a number of actions which have started under the research work program, and again, we believe it would be interesting to have workshops organized by the actions which are in place at this moment in time in the European zone, with actions which are R&D or innovation actions which are initiated on the Korean side to try as much as possible to exchange the views which potentially will lead to the emergence of this vision by 2023. And then from a later perspective, I think it will be very interesting to have overall test beds. We have seen with 5G that having joint test beds, having test beds with a lot of vertical actors, having test beds, then trials, are things which are very much helpful for the various actors to understand the technology. And I think these kind of operations we can also conceive from an international perspective, which are possibly next steps to develop when the technology becomes a little bit more mature and the technological components become a little bit more understood.
Thank you, Bernard. Quite clear proposals. I think they make a lot of sense. From the Korean side, may I ask Mr. Sang-Gok Lee, what is your vision here? Would you propose some concrete activities? Do you agree with Bernard's proposals as well? Thank you.
So could you ask?
Yeah, I would like to see the vision of the Ministry of Science technology. So if Mr. Lee could please.
So there is nobody from the Ministry of ICT, but on behalf of the ICT, Ministry of IT, I can maybe answer as a consulting towards that. I'm Song Choi, Program Manager for R&D. So I believe previous speaker made a very concrete proposal on this question. So I also fully support that. We had a very successful joint R&D for 5G between European community and Korea. So that was very successful. So Korean side, we really wanted to continue that collaboration. So even from this year, we wanted to do that, but Europe side, you couldn't prepare for that project yet. So we wanted to start joint R&D project from the next year or least. So that is the first step. We can strengthen the collaboration for that area. And second approach, as already proposed, that Korea had a global 60 summit last year, but we wanted to continue that effort, inviting multiple countries, multiple experts to share R&D progress each countries. So especially Europe, Finland hosts already several 60 summit. So we think some level of collaboration between two 60 summit, or if we host those global summit in some places in Korea and Europe, that encourage multiple experts in 60 R&D researchers to join the summit. So joint workshop and joint R&D project will be the baseline for the collaboration, I believe.
Okay.
May I add some comment to Dr. Bernard's proposal? Maybe my proposal is related to beyond just a joint project and sharing the result. You know what? When we look at our effort, especially in Korea, to diffuse 5G into many industries, such as intelligence transportation system and also medical area, we found especially some of those verticals is very difficult to collaborate. I mean, this 5G is already, it's not a technology, it's infrastructures. We have to kind of collaborate with many ministries and many vertical the industries. When you look at the intelligent transportation systems, Korea, maybe not, it's not happening in the Europe, but in Korea, we need a kind of a collaboration and harmonizations with many stakeholders in government and ministry. And I told you that we found sometimes very difficult to collaborate. But I found the 5G IA vertical roadmap, which really interests me. You have a kind of a interministerial and inter-association collaboration in the autonomous driving and factories and medical energies like that. And I feel like kind of a collaboration in the cross-ministerial and the cross-industrial in Europe is much more easier than what we are doing in Korea. So if you can share not just the technologies and also not just the joint research project, we can go beyond that to kind of share some collaboration. I mean, how you actually harmonize and come up with some good result in this kind of infrastructure the project in terms of 5G.
Okay, thank you for your intervention. So I think this calling calls for a call for your side, because you are one of the ones, and it's true in Europe we made a lot of effort also to bring together the different industrial players, also from the vertical, and the intelligent transport system is a good example where we invest a lot in research, bringing together all the players, also technology developers, and then asking them also to go into the standardization organization. But Colin, you are in the best place to explain maybe and share with our Korean colleagues how to involve the verticals, and maybe also build more on the importance of doing that in view of the 6G, although we are at the very beginning of the research phase, and of course we don't know exactly which use case would be there. Colin, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a very astute observation that it is very tricky to work with the verticals, or shall we say, to really make impact. And the issue here is, to be honest with you, often the telecoms industry has been rather closed, that it thinks it knows what's best, it will provide a service, and everyone else should just come and use that. And a lot of these verticals are in actual fact much larger industries than our own industry, which means you have to meet them in the middle. And that means it does need significant investment to bring actors from both worlds together in any particular vertical domain. So this is something which I think in 5G PPP, with the help of the European Commission, we did fairly successfully, that by funding that collaboration, those vertical industries could get involved in trying out that technology, proving that technology with a very small risk and a relatively small financial outlay. And clearly the goal is that they are convinced about 5G technology and then will invest into that technology going forward. So I think it is something which Europe has perhaps done fairly well with 5G, and certainly a lot of time and effort was invested in that. Generally, we already have a MOU and an agreement with the 5G Forum, which has been very successful over the time of 5G. Indeed, the talk of a global 6G event, we already have a global 5G event. I would suggest it might be easiest if we just update and revamp that event to cover 6G. We have that MOU with the whole world, with Japan, with Korea, with Brazil, with USA. I've probably forgotten a few, but that's something we have already worked out, the MOU. I would suggest that is perhaps something that we should use. But more specifically, I think there is definitely scope that the industry associations, the 5G Forum and 5GIA, can work closer together going forward with 6G and see where there are commonalities to work. And I believe above and beyond workshops and events, there is the possibility, if the two associations work together, to try new approaches. And by new approaches, I mean, sometimes when we have joint calls, we don't necessarily get the full resonance. And it might be that we could use those associations to work together to join existing projects. So projects which are separately funded from Korea and EU, but happen to be on similar themes. And the 5G Forum has a good overview of what's going on in Korea. The 5GIA is obviously instrumental in setting up the work program and the projects in Europe. We could use that as a mechanism rather than forcing things together into a narrow corridor. Rather, look what's going on and try and link up the relative projects together and try and use that way to actually drive things forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. I'm talking about the role of the industrial association in particular. When we talk about the verticals, of course, this could be also a way forward to bring in both from Europe and Korea. And Andreas that you are in a very good situation to explain also how, in the particular case for vertical, which we have also heard from Korean colleagues that they are looking into, like is industrial applications. How do you believe that this can be done, also in view of mobilizing and promoting the cooperation between European and Korean players? Although I guess that many or some of your members will be active in both regions. Andreas, please.
Yeah, thanks. No, absolutely. And I mean, I can just echo many things that Colin already has summarized. So from my perspective, the most important aspect really is to have events like the workshop today, right? To get together, to exchange views, exchange visions and so on. Already this helps basically in aligning activities and bringing then also the relevant stakeholders together. I think one important comment from Colin is something I would like to highlight again. So we had this before with the different innovation cycles and so on. And of course, for many verticals, manufacturing being one of them, and I think the same applies then to most of the others. 5G and in future 6G certainly are very important topics, but it's not the core business of the verticals, right? For the verticals, when as a manufacturer, you have to look into 5G, but you also have to look into AI, you have to look into, I don't know, 3D printing and so on. So there are many new technologies that come up, and basically we have to make sure that we pick the right ones and integrate them and build a good system. But 5G, 6G, as good as it is and as important as it is for most verticals, it's just a building block basically out of others, maybe a little bit more important from my perspective than many others, but still just a building block and not a core business. And that's why it's so important to make it as easy as possible for the verticals to get engaged. So that's also why I outlined in my presentation, we should think about making it easier, for example, to get directly engaged in standardization in VPP, but the same holds basically then also for joint projects and collaborative activities and so on. So the cost-benefit ratio for the verticals, for manufacturers and others has to be attractive enough, taking into account that it's really not the core of their business. So I wanted to make a second point, but somehow just
go ahead, please.
Maybe give it back to you, so also in the interest of time.
Okay, thank you. From the Korean side, how do you see this possibility of mobilizing the industry and work together with also the industry associations and verticals from Europe? Maybe Mr. Hyun-Bo Lee, could you explain your views there?
Yes, my name is Hyun-Bo Lee, the chairman of the Mobile Communication Group in DTA. Yes, as part of collaboration in vertical application, some of Korean members are also member of 5G ACIA and 5G AA. That is one way. The another thing is that we have joined a workshop between 5G ACIA and 5G Forum, as well as 5G Forum and 5G AA as well. So I think we can utilize that kind of collaboration platform. But I confess that it is very loosely coupled collaborations. So maybe in next phase, we need to have some more cross-coupled approach. I think that some of you already mentioned some kind of approach. The Colin said the utilizing the 5G Forum, 5G IA collaboration. We need to find some way to cross-involve in both country projects. I think that is one way. That's my view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I hear clearly that there is interest for using the different research projects, bringing them then together with industry platforms. But then what about how make this link between the research and innovation projects towards standardization actions? So we work on defining a common roadmap to achieve that. David, you were very much in favor and explaining all the different activities that you are doing at ETSI. What are your views and how also this can be extended to cooperation with Korean partners, taking into account also the long-term collaboration between our respective standardization organization, ETSI and TTA?
Yeah, thank you, Emilio. I think it's an extension of what we're already trying to do. So, of course, ETSI is already linking out to the European research projects, the Horizon 20 ongoing and Horizon Europe that will be coming soon. Also, ETSI has many members who come from outside of the European capture zone, if you like. We have many Korean members, we have many others who already participate to our technical standardization activities in many ISGs and technical bodies. So I think it really is about joining things together. Already ETSI has a desire to get much closer to European research, to UK research, to global research. So that's an activity which is ongoing. And then sharing that initiative wider. So looking to North America, China, Japan, Korea, and other areas is important. I think events such as these are important now because we're just at the beginning of trying to decide what 6G may be. And it's very important that we share information. All of ETSI's information is public. I believe all of the roadmaps of the Commission are public. The outcome of the European projects are public. So putting that together and sharing it with other regions is very important. And also aligning visions, aligning messages, because we do hope that there will be one 6G standard, global standard, not multiple fractured standards. And also aligning timescales as well. So if we're looking at 6G rollout in 2030, in 2028, in 2032, it's very good that we run or we walk very quickly in the same direction. So really opening up and sharing experiences at all moments and discussing early issues such as security, privacy, trust, energy efficiency, resource efficiency, these sort of issues which are often considered later. It's very good to share vision early on in the 6G process. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Andrea, I'm still curious about your second proposal. As we have a little bit of time, would you like to?
Yeah, actually, it came up to my mind again. Actually, I just wanted to emphasize, I mean, I said it should be as simple as possible and as easy as possible for the verticals to get engaged. That's why also then initiatives like 5G ACI are very important, because all the discussions that we have are focusing on the market and the business of one particular vertical. And of course, we're not just looking into standardization support in VGBP, we are really having a holistic view on this, also touching on aspects like certification and so on. And the second point I want to make is basically also to emphasize again the relevance of test beds and trial activities and so on. Because if you're thinking about running a factory on 5G, for example, and running it in a way that is production critical, that means in the worst case, if there is a problem in the network, you cannot produce anymore, then this may have a huge business impact. And you're really dependent on the performance, on the availability of the system. And this is something you would like to see in real world as a manufacturer. You don't just trust a data sheet or some simulation results. You really want to see it. You have to establish trust. This also takes time. That's why also performance validation, as I mentioned before, is a very important aspect, and therefore really testbed activities are a key step and a necessity from my perspective to make sure that the verticals also succeed then with 5G and in the future 6G. And maybe this is also something, I mean, we were talking about that it's also not so difficult to get the verticals on board and so on, but with testbeds and really hands-on activities, I think this can attract verticals very well. So therefore, this is, from my perspective, really one of the key components.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your views. Is there any other particular point that any of the speakers would like to? Yeah, David, please, because we're running out of late. David.
Yeah, it was really just to expand back to the vertical considerations. I didn't mention that when I spoke earlier. It's very important, I think, that we have these vertical associations for some years now, because they help to regroup all of the needs of the different vertical domains. If we see ICT as serving energy, factory, city, healthcare domains, it's really important that those users come together, agree amongst themselves on their basic requirements for the network, and then ensure that the network that is built and defined by 3GPP is their network. It's not just a telecom network that they are reusing. It incorporates their use cases, their requirements, their specific needs, such as security or private circuit use, this sort of thing. So the existence of these associations for verticals is really key. And I see in 3GPP on 5G, that's already working very well. But I think as we move forward, we need stronger associations coming up with clear input into standards, and standards being very open to those requests from the vertical industries. So just from the ETSI point of view, I see that as an important development for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no other hot issues, I think we have reached the time. We have exceeded a little bit. Let me thank you all the panelists. I think it was a very useful workshop, and I would like to thank again all the speakers in the different sessions and the exchange of views in the panel. And I heard the possibilities, the importance of the collaboration between the two regions towards developing a common vision, and in particular common standard. And I really appreciated having heard concrete proposals to continue the exchange of views and cooperation, and for instance, the organization of workshops between the different research projects, trying to promote common research actions and exchange of research results, or including the use case requirements from the two regions as a way forward. The importance of having joint tests and trials, and in particular to involve the verticals that we have heard that they may have difficulties otherwise to be in the loop, and we need to attract them because it will be in the benefits of both the technology developers and the verticals, and also concrete proposals like this idea of organizing this global forum on event on 6G, and the importance that the memorandum of understanding had between the different regions for 5G to go towards a global standard, so to replicate the work there now for beyond 5G. And from our side, you know, we give a lot of importance to this collaboration with the Republic of Korea, and as shows the resume of the political dialogue as well, and in particular on digital cooperation. So we will welcome very much this kind of workshop, and we encourage the partners to continue the activities and the cooperation, in particular in this area where it's such important to provide a common vision and reach common standards for the competitiveness of our industries, and also for the benefits of our citizens and society in general. Thank you very much. Xavier, gives you back the floor.
Thank you very much, Emilio, for these words of conclusion on your side. And I think it is now time for the host to also say a few words in order to conclude the meeting. And I would like to give first the floor to Casey Koo, and I will then follow up as Louis has had to be away and asked me to deliver his conclusion. Casey, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Xavier. As always, you hard work to coordinate the workshop. It's very excellent coordinate. I very much appreciate your coordination. Anyway, I would like to say a few something, because all presentation and the panel discussion are already delivered to all participants and YouTube. Anyway, today's workshop is the only 3 hours, 20 minutes, I think, but very intensive, very fruitful, very productive. I think we have a lot of takeaway to the home. I would like to say, conclude by saying that quotes Mr. David both works from his presentation is very good word. Triple C is cooperation, communication, collaboration, to be continued. That is my concluding remark. Thank you very much for all the participants and speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Casey, for these words. On my side, I would like to also give a few thoughts. I would say share a few thoughts with you. I mean, obviously, a key takeaway of this workshop, which was very rich in information, is the importance, the confirmed importance of globally harmonized standard, and more than ever, the need to ensure the link between research and innovation, and make sure that it is as efficient and effective as possible, because we have a bit of pressure, I would say. There is an ever-growing importance of data, we know it, and this comes in an environment which will see AI being part of more and more applications, products, and services. That means basically that we have to work on interoperability of data, not only from the kind of data structure, but also, and maybe even more importantly, on the semantic standpoint. We need to minimize the overhead resulting from decoding and understanding the data, especially in a context where we also target energy efficiency. Privacy and trust, of course, need to remain at the heart of data management and processing. And another aspect is that new technologies and their integration in I would say, an ever-broadening spectrum of devices and equipment augment the attack surface and therefore the cybersecurity challenge. This is another area where cooperation is needed, especially as we must ensure that such pervasive technologies are trusted. They also need to be reliable enablers for applications that will interact or drive physical systems, which must be safe for the users. We also need to keep societal and environment relevance as key drivers for the development of communications technology. It was very interesting to see all, I mean, the explanation about the use cases, how citizens are the need/pull part of the 3 6G pillars presented by Mr. Hong-Woon. And finally, I mean, there is a very clear message which was repeated multiple times during the workshop, which is that cooperation is key. 5G and 6G will be key technologies for verticals, and we need to increase cooperation with representatives of verticals, following the example of the involvement of 5G AA or 5G ACIA as market representation partners in 3GPP, and their contribution to shaping the use cases and the related requirements is of paramount importance. Also, even if there is commercial and industrial competition down the line, we are now entering a race which is also against the evolution of our society and economy, which both simply do not wait. So we have to deliver. And as a clear consequence, we need to maintain and strengthen the cooperation to ensure that we deliver another generation of globally interoperable mobile communication technology. And I'm here very happy that ETSI and TTA, and from a broader standpoint, Europe and Korea share this value of cooperation and can really count on each other as allies in addressing this challenge. Last, I would say really a special thanks to all of the speakers and participants for the quality of the information shared and delivered, for the openness, and also big shout out to the team helping prepare the event today, especially Kate from TTA and Michael from the Indico team. And that's it for me. I think we are going to try and do one final thing before we close the meeting. And I would like to ask if you could turn on your camera, and we'll try and snap a virtual photo of the participants to have a kind of a memory of the event. So let's try and be all in the picture and make some screenshots. I'll go in 3, 2, 1, and 0, 1. Yeah, yes. I have problems counting down. But thank you very much. Thank you for all this. This is another great example of exchange and cooperation at the international level, even when we cannot meet each other. I really hope that one of these next occurrences will be with all of us being able to gather in a single place and share some good time. Thank you very much, and see you soon for other interactions.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Take care.